Sinomach High International Equipment Co., Ltd. Operation and Maintenance Instructions for Grader 732T. Dear customers, welcome to buy Sinomach Grader 732T. For your better using experience, we will introduce you the operation and maintenance instructions of Grader 732T in every detail. Sinomach is committed to bringing you the most comfortable working experience and maximum benefits. This video includes following 6 chapters. Chapter 1 Machine Structure. Chapter 2 Safety Instruction. Chapter 3 Operational Instruction. Chapter 4 Maintenance Instruction. Chapter 1 Machine Structure. Nameplate. Chassis number. Front frame. Rear frame. Articulated cylinder. Double one-way valve group. Frame lock. Front axle. Rear axle. Wet brake. Balance box. Front counterweight. Front wheel tilt cylinder. Two-way hydraulic lock. Front wheel steering cylinder. Tow frame. Worm gearbox. Hydraulic motor. Rotary ring gear. Swivel joint. Center displacement bracket. Tow frame swing cylinder. Two-way balance valve. Plug cylinder. Blade. Shovel angle change cylinder. Blade side shift cylinder. Combined hydraulic lock. Blade lift cylinder. Blade buffer accumulator. Balance valve group. Scarifier. Scarifier cylinder. Multi-way valve. Load sensing pump. Triple pump. Fan motor control valve group. Emergency steering valve. Priority valve. Steering gear. Steering proportional valve group. Fill valve. Foot brake valve. Service brake accumulator. Parking brake valve block. Parking brake accumulator. Plug cylinder control valve block. Hydraulic oil tank, fuel tank assembly. Air pre-filter. Exhaust pipe. Engine cover. Engine. Air conditioning compressor. Drying bottle. Air conditioning components. Cockpit. Proportional control handle. Seat. Safety switch. Emergency fire switch. Parking brake switch. Fan reversing switch. Fresh air control panel. Air conditioner control panel. Proportional control handle. Key switch. Throttle knob. Gearbox shift lever. Gearbox instrument panel. Right armrest box switch assembly. Instrument panel. Console switch assembly. Combined handle. Steering. Headlight distance. Wiper. Water spray. Accelerator pedal. Brake pedal. Wiper bottle. Electric control box. Host controller. Gearbox controller. Front combination lamp. Working lamp. Rear combination lamp. Front wiper. Rear wiper. Transmission. Torque converter. Parking brake. Transmission shaft. Radiator components. Water tank. Intercooler. Transmission oil cooling. Hydraulic oil cooler. Fan. Fan motor. Main power switch. Battery box. Chapter 2 Safety Instruction. Do not change the machine configuration without permission or identification from our technical team. Sinomach is not responsible for the safety problem or economic loss caused by that. The operator of this machine must be authorized and trained, and the driver must carefully read the instruction manual. Recognize safety information and follow operation and maintenance instructions. Understand the caution and safety signals. Maintain a healthy physical condition and do not drink alcohol or take drugs while operating the machine. Operators should understand the function of all controls, indicators and installations. In order to ensure the safety of the operator and the service life of the machine, please check the vehicle according to the regulations before starting and check it regularly. Follow the do's and don'ts outlined in this job. Do all the preparations. When refueling or handling flammable substances, turn off the engine, do not smoke, and do not light open flames near the battery charging point. Do not work under a motor grader supported by a jack. If access must be done under the machine, it must be firmly supported by guards. When crossing a bridge, know the weight limit of the bridge. When working near power lines, check that the distance between the wires and the roof of the vehicle is adequate and safe. When working, ensure that the rearview mirror and cab glass are clean and unobstructed to ensure a good view. Keep hands and arms clear of frame hinge to avoid crushing hazard. Safely hoist the position of the motor grader. Keep a safe distance from the back of the loader to avoid collision accidents. Keep your hands off the rotating fan to avoid shearing hazard. Watch out when entering the loader by steps to prevent slipping, tripping and falling. Sound the horn before reversing or operating the loader to make sure there is no person in the working area. Avoid overhauling and maintaining the vehicle with the engine running. Turn off the power when overhauling the engine and electrical system. When the motor grader is driving, no passengers are allowed in the cab or anywhere else. Reduce the driving speed while steering. Sudden steering or slowdown is not allowed. Try to avoid turning the loader on slopes. Drive slowly in rainy, snowy, and other bad weather conditions. No taxiing when going downhill. In the neutral position of the transmission, prevent engine stall. Prevent to drive fast while loading or unloading materials. If it is necessary to start the engine in an enclosed area, adequate ventilation should be provided. The exhaust gas is fatal to the human body. When parking, put the transmission handle in neutral, press the parking brake button. Put the scraper, ripper, etc. on the ground. And put all the safety levers in the locked position. It is strictly forbidden to repair or maintain the grader when it is running. Before repairing or maintaining the grader, the wheels should be wedged. And warning signs must be hung. If maintenance is required after the engine is started, attention should be paid to safety. Always turn off the power switch after working. Be sure to turn off this power switch during transportation, inspection, and maintenance. Chapter 3 Operational Instruction. Check before starting. In order to ensure the safety of the operator and prolong the service life of the motor grader as much as possible, a thorough detour inspection should be carried out before starting the engine. Check frame weld joint for cracks, check oil tube for aging cracks. Check underneath loader for leakage of coolant, oil or water, look for cracks or bumps on tires and check tire pressure. Low tire pressure leads to insufficient loading capacity and shortened working life. High tire pressure leads to more violent vibration and heavier tire abrasion. Check tire bolts if any loosen happened. Check whether the cab glass is clear and clean to ensure a good view of the operation. Check whether the coolant in the water tank is sufficient. Pay attention to release the internal pressure before opening the water tank cover. Flammable substances such as wood chips, dead leaves, and paper can easily cause a fire, so check the interior of the engine compartment and keep it clean. Check the engine oil level, confirm the amount of oil, check the transmission oil level and determine the oil level on the dipstick according to the oil temperature. Observe the oil gauge of the diesel fuel tank. If you need to refuel, pay attention to filter with a filter. Try to fill up the diesel oil to reduce water vapor condensation in the fuel tank. Adjust the seat to the most comfortable position and use the seat belt. Before starting the engine, you must ensure that all control levers are in the neutral or locked position. Turn the parking brake knob to release the parking brake. At this time the parking brake indicator light will also go out. Confirm again that the transmission joystick is in the neutral position. Check after start. Insert the key and turn it on to the power on position. Turn the start switch key clockwise, turn on the starter motor, and the engine can start. Starting time is normally less than 20 seconds. If the engine does not start within 10 seconds, wait for 1 minute and repeat the starting process. If the engine still not started after 5 attempts, look for the cause and try again after troubleshooting. Verify that all instruments and alarms are functioning properly. Verify that the lights are working properly. Confirm that each hydraulic cylinder is operating normally. Operate the shift handle to confirm whether the function of the forward and reverse driving speed is normal. Drive the motor grader slowly and listen carefully for unusual noises from the engine, gearbox or transmission. Choose a safe place, turn the motor grader left and right, and confirm whether the function of the steering device is normal. Test whether the service brake is normal. Test the parking brake switch for normal operation. Stop the engine and check for coolant leaks or lubricating oil around and under the grader. Precautions when starting. When the engine flywheel and starter motor have not stopped completely, they cannot be combined to start again. Otherwise, the gear of the starter motor and the ring gear of the flywheel may be damaged. When the engine water temperature is lower than 55 degrees Celsius and the oil temperature is lower than 45 degrees Celsius, high-speed driving and full-load operation cannot be performed, and special attention should be paid in winter. When the engine is running, the power switch cannot be cut off, otherwise it will damage electrical devices such as generators. Do not run the engine at idle speed for a long time. After starting the engine in cold regions, it is necessary to preheat the hydraulic oil and repeatedly operate the hydraulic components. Description of indicator devices. Voltmeter. Gearbox oil temperature gauge. Water temperature gauge. Fuel gauge. Left turn indicator light. Right turn indicator light. Emergency turn indicator. Preheating light. Engine fault diagnosis indicator light, engine failure, symbol flashes, and buzzer alarm. Engine warning light indicates the state of the engine in which the driver needs to be alerted to flashing diagnostic trouble codes. Low engine oil pressure indicator light. Transmission oil temperature high indicator light. Charging indicator. Engine shutdown light displays important driver information and diagnostic trouble codes. Hydraulic oil filter indicator light refers to the hydraulic oil filter clogging alarm. Engine waiting to start indicator light. Blade buffer indicator light, prompting that the blade buffer function has been activated. Water level indicator light, low cooling water level alarm. Oil-water separation indicator light, when the water level in the oil-water separator increases to a certain level, the indicator light is on. Parking brake light. High water temperature alarm indicator light, when the water temperature is greater than or equal to 103 degrees Celsius, the symbol will flash and the buzzer will alarm. Brake system low pressure indicator light. Low gear pressure indicator light. Service brake light. Emergency brake light, prompt braking system for emergency braking. Fan reverse indicator, prompt that the cooling fan reverses and blows soot. Low fuel warning light. LCD screen control buttons F1, F2, F3, F4. Date. Engine speed. Chronograph. Engine oil pressure. Real-time voltage. Real-time working status. Hand throttle switch. Rear wiper switch. Handle work switch. Knife plate flame out down switch. Swing rack pull switch. Blade buffer switch. Voltmeter. If the voltage is less than 24.5 volts, and the number of revolutions is greater than 650 revolutions per minute, or if the voltage is greater than 27 volts and the number of revolutions is less than 650 revolutions per minute, it will indicate abnormal charging. If the voltage is greater than 30 volts, it will indicate that the system voltage is too high, and the buzzer will sound. Oil temperature gauge for torque converter outlet. In normal operation, the suitable temperature is 80 to 110 degrees Celsius. The highest working temperature in a short period cannot exceed 120 degrees Celsius. When the temperature exceeds the normal range and is close to the highest value, shift the shift handle to a lower gear. And reduce the engine speed or stop the operation until the oil temperature drops to the normal range. Engine water temperature gauge. Normal temperature of water from engine cylinder head is 60 degrees Celsius to 95 degrees Celsius and a maximum temperature is 99 degrees Celsius. When the water temperature is greater than or equal to 103 degrees Celsius, the indicator light will flash and the buzzer will alarm. When the temperature is too low in winter, insulation measures must be taken for the engine. Engine fuel level gauge. It indicates the oil level inside the engine fuel tank. Refuel the tank when the needle points to the red area. Check the indicator signal for steering lamp. Check the horn honking. Check the color of exhaust gas. Check the steering wheel and inspect the reliability and airtightness of the steering system. Check the lighting system. Traveling. Put down the safety lever of the left armrest box, and press the handle work rocker switch at the right armrest box. The controller will have output. And the gear handle can operate normally. Put the moldboard at the minimum propulsion angle and fully lift the moldboard. At this time, be sure to keep a certain distance between the blade and the tire. In addition, when using the hinged oil cylinder to steer, you must pay attention to prevent the blade from the knife comes into contact with the tire. Fully lift the scarifier or other optional equipment. And select the appropriate driving mode according to the requirements of the construction environment. In automatic transmission mode, when pressing the shift lever unlock button, simultaneously push and release the shift lever forward or backward. The shift lever will engage and lock into the forward or reverse position. The driver only needs to press down on the accelerator pedal, and the grader will automatically increase or decrease gears based on the engine speed, transmission load, and other factors. In manual shift mode, when the shift lever first advances or reverses any gear position, press the shift lever unlock button again, and any gear position is locked in the current gear position. At this time, it is the manual shift mode. For upshifting, you need to push the shift lever to the right. For downshifting, you need to push the shift lever to the left. Note that gears 1 to 3 are used for leveling operations, and gears 4 to 6 are used for driving. It is recommended to use manual shift mode for greater construction operations. The machine adopts hydraulic gear shifting, so there is no need to stop when shifting gears. In manual transmission mode, in order to shift smoothly and reduce impact, when shifting from low gear to high gear, you should accelerate first, then as you push and pull the handle, reduce the throttle slightly. On the contrary, while shifting from high speed to low speed, lower down the speed first, then press the accelerator when pulling the lever. When changing the direction of forward and backward, be sure to step on the brake pedal first, change the direction after braking, and release the brake after changing the direction. Otherwise the gearbox will be subject to severe impact, which may cause damage to the parts, or the clutch will be damaged due to severe friction. Bite to death due to heat. The accelerator pedal controls the fuel supply of the engine. When the accelerator pedal is released, the engine runs at idle speed. When the accelerator pedal is stepped on, the engine speed increases with the increase of the fuel supply. When the brake pedal is depressed, the vehicle's brakes are applied, and at the same time, the valve is cut off to disengage the transmission clutch, thereby cutting off the power to the transmission system. At this moment, the rear brake indicator light illuminates. Note, don't use a handbrake while the loader is still traveling except for emergencies. Work operation, lifting and lowering of blade. Blade moves left and right. Blade angle increases, decreases. The blade turns left and right. Articulated cylinder left and right steering, the front bulldozer rises and falls, swing frame rotates left and right. Ripper raises and lowers. Front wheel tilted left to right. Plug cylinder, pull out the plug. Loader operation. The angle between the blade and the center line of the car body is the blade propulsion angle. When leveling the ground, the blade propulsion angle is generally set to 60 degrees. If the material is relatively hard, it should be set to a smaller angle. Extend the shovel fully forward, which is the maximum cutting angle of the shovel, which can be used for spreading, trimming, road leveling, etc. Adjust the shovel to the vertical position, which is the standard cutting angle, which is used for the regular operation of the grader. Withdraw the shovel completely backward, which is the minimum cutting angle of the shovel, which can be used for stripping and transferring soil-based working conditions. In shovel operations where the soil is mainly stripped and transferred, a smaller cutting angle, such as 40 degrees, and a larger advancing angle, such as 45 to 60 degrees, should be used to increase the blade length per unit. The peeling force on the surface and the resistance to lateral movement of the soil material are reduced. In leveling, paving, mixing and other working conditions, a larger cutting angle, such as 60 degrees, and a smaller advancing angle, such as 0 degrees, should be used to improve operating efficiency and accuracy. Scarifier operation, for most road materials, can be driven in first gear or second gear. Keep the teeth of the ripper deep enough to use the full power of the engine without causing the tires to spin. Use all teeth on light materials and fewer teeth on heavier materials. Note, during raking operations, neither twist steer nor turns are allowed. High slope cutting operations. Use the lifting cylinder to lift the shovel, press the button switch of the pin cylinder to pull out the pin completely. Raise the height of the shovel again, extend the swing cylinder, and rotate the center displacement bracket to the left until the pin is inserted into the highest position on the left inside the hole. At this time, contract the swing cylinder to make the traction frame swing to the left of the whole machine, move the blade to the far left, and make the blade rotate clockwise. Be careful not to touch the front left wheel with the front end of the blade. And then operate the left lifting cylinder at the same time, shrink and extend the right lifting cylinder. At this time the motor grader is in the high slope cutting state. Start the motor grader for slope scraping operations. Please use the first gear to drive, if you want to make deeper cutting. You can tilt the front wheels towards the side slope. Please be aware that scraping high side slopes is a dangerous task, and without adequate experience and training it could result in a serious accident. If you are unsure how to do it, please seek professional guidance and assistance. Shut down the loader. Reduce the engine speed and depress the brake pedal to parking the loader. Push the operating lever to neutral position. Release the brake pedal and press the parking brake button. Reduce the engine speed to 800 to 1000 revolutions per minute. Idle for 3 to 5 minutes to cool down the engine gradually. Lay the working device flat on the ground. Each handle is placed in the middle position. Rotate the key to off position to shut down the engine. Turn off the main power switch. Long-term storage. Wash the whole vehicle, dry it, fill up the fuel, add lubricating oil and change the engine oil before storage. Reduce the air pressure in the tire to about 80% of the standard operating pressure. Apply a thin layer of grease to the surface of the cylinder piston rod. Remove battery connector and cover, or remove from grader and store separately. Add suitable antifreeze to the cooling water tank. Chapter 4 Maintenance Instruction. Periodic maintenance for engine air intake system. First of all, the air filter must be maintained when the engine is stopped. Check the air filter of the engine intake system, and whether there is any looseness at the connecting pipe. Loosen the fixing buckle, remove the ash tray, and remove the internal ash. Take out the main filter element. Use compressed air from the inside of the main filter element to blow back along the length of the filter element pleats. The pressure should not exceed 0.2 MPa. Do not wash the filter element with oil and water. After the main filter element is maintained, it should be carefully checked. If any defects such as filter paper leaks and rubber ring degumming of the end cover are found, please replace the main filter element with a new one. The inner filter element of the air filter is equipped with a safety filter element, which does not require maintenance. If the main filter element is leaked, a lot of dust adheres to the safety filter element and other factors need to be replaced. Please replace the main filter element together. Pay attention during installation. The installation of the end face of the filter element must be reliable, the seal must not leak, the air filter shell must not be deformed. The buckle outside the dust pan should be tightened to ensure the seal, the rubber dust bag is vertically downward. Strictly prohibited to continue working without rubber dust bags. Regular inspection is required every 50 hours to maintain the main filter element of the air filter and check the safety filter element. After the filter is maintained for 5 times, a new air filter element should be replaced in time. If the operating environment of the equipment is relatively harsh, please shorten the inspection and maintenance cycle. Periodic maintenance for fuel system. The engine of a new car is guaranteed for 50 hours for the first time, and the diesel filter and fuel oil-water separator need to be replaced. And every 500 hours after that, the diesel filter and fuel oil-water separator need to be replaced. Wipe off the dirt on the diesel filter seat and housing, remove the old filter with a special tool, clean the filter base. And ensure that the seal of the old filter element has been cleaned, otherwise it will cause poor sealing. Apply clean lubricating oil on the gasket of the cleaner, and fill the filter element with diesel oil. Install the new diesel filter on the filter element seat and tighten it by hand, then tighten it by 1/2 turn to 3/4 turn with a special tool. Start the engine, and check the sealing condition of the filter element connection. Drain the accumulated water at the bottom of the oil-water separator before working every day. Please choose a suitable brand of diesel oil according to the local climate temperature. Periodic maintenance for engine lubrication system. The first warranty period for a new car is 50 hours, and the engine oil and oil filter need to be replaced. After that, the engine oil and oil filter need to be replaced every 250 hours of operation. When the engine has just stopped and the oil is still hot, remove the crankcase oil drain plug to drain the oil. Wipe off the dirt and grime from the oil filter seat and housing, use a specialized tool to remove the old oil filter, and clean the filter base and filter element seal. Apply clean lubricating oil to the sealing gasket of the new filter element, fill the filter element with new engine oil. Install the new filter element on the filter element seat and tighten it, and then tighten it with a special tool for 1/2 to 3/4 turn. Clean oil drain plug mounting surface, then install the oil drain plug. Open the fuel filler cap, fill diesel engine oil according to the oil grade and specifications. Start the diesel engine and turn off the engine after running for 3 minutes, check the tightness of the filter element connection. Wait for 5 minutes to allow the engine oil to flow back to the oil pan, and then check the diesel engine oil the scale of the dipstick. The oil quantity should be in the middle of the upper and lower marking lines of the dipstick. The engine oil capacity is 28 liters. If the ambient temperature ranges from -20 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, it is recommended to use diesel engine oil of at least CH grade with a viscosity grade of 15W40. For temperatures below -20 degrees Celsius, it is recommended to use diesel engine oil of at least CH grade with a viscosity grade of 5W20. Periodic maintenance for transmission system. The first warranty period for a new car is 100 hours, and the transmission oil and filter elements need to be replaced. After that, the transmission oil and filter elements need to be replaced every 1000 hours of work. The consumption of gearbox oil platform is 38 liters. And the specification of the oil grade is the same as that of the engine oil. When the engine has just stopped and the gearbox is still hot, remove the oil drain plug of the gearbox to drain the oil, wipe off the dirt on the filter element seat and housing. Remove the old filter element with a special tool, and clean the filter element in the filter element seat seal. Apply clean lubricating oil to the sealing gasket of the new filter element, fill the filter element with new engine oil. Install the new filter element on the filter element seat and tighten it, and then tighten it with a special tool for 1/2 to 3/4 turn, clean oil drain plug mounting surface. Then install the oil drain plug. Unscrew the oil dipstick cover, add transmission oil that meets the grade and specification requirements, start the diesel engine and run it for about 3 minutes. Check the tightness of the connection of the filter element, check the scale of the transmission oil dipstick. The oil level at this time should be between the scale and between middle scales. Note, the amount of oil reaching the oil level of the cold car can only ensure that the gearbox and torque converter have sufficient circulation flow. And it does not meet the oil consumption of the entire system. The final criterion for determining the oil amount is to meet the oil level of the warm car, that is, the engine is starting state, and the transmission oil temperature is 80 degrees Celsius, the oil level at this time should be between the scale and the middle scale on the oil dipstick. Periodic maintenance for hydraulic system. The first warranty for a new car is 100 hours, and the oil return filter element of the hydraulic oil tank needs to be replaced. After every 1,000 hours of work, the hydraulic oil inlet and oil return filter elements need to be replaced, and the hydraulic oil platform consumption is 200 liters. The ambient temperature is -20 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius. It is recommended to use hydraulic oil with a viscosity grade of number 32, and the ambient temperature is -10 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. It is recommended to use hydraulic oil with a viscosity grade of number 46. Periodic maintenance for drive axle. The first warranty of a new car is 100 hours, and the gear oil needs to be replaced. The gear oil needs to be replaced after every 1,000 hours of work, and the unit consumption is 35 liters. Drain the gear oil of the rear drive axle, clean up the impurities at the bottom of the axle housing, and refuel until the gear oil overflows from the refueling bolt on the side of the axle tube. For the ambient temperature of -10 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, 85W90 heavy-duty vehicle gear oil should be used, and for severe cold regions with an ambient temperature of -40 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, 75W90 heavy-duty vehicle gear oil should be used. Periodic maintenance for balance box. The first warranty for a new car is 100 hours, and the gear oil needs to be replaced. The gear oil needs to be replaced after every 1,000 hours of work. The amount used is 120 liters. The grade and specification of the gear oil are the same as that of the drive axle oil. Remove the oil drain bolt at the bottom of the balance box, drain the gear oil, clean up impurities at the bottom, tighten the oil drain bolt, and refuel until the gear oil flows out of the oil level port of the balance box. Periodic maintenance for worm gearbox. The gear oil needs to be replaced after every 1,000 hours of work, and the consumption is 4 liters. Gear oil grade specification is the same as drive axle oil. Remove the oil drain bolt at the bottom of the turbo case, drain the gear oil, clean up impurities at the bottom, tighten the oil drain bolt, and add oil to the middle scale of the turbo case oil level window. Periodic maintenance for cooling system. When the engine is in a cooled state, check the coolant level. Slowly turn and open the radiator cap to release pressure, then remove the cap. The coolant level should be within 10 to 15 millimeters below the fill neck. In order to prevent engine damage, do not add coolant to an overheated engine. You must let the engine cool down first before adding coolant. Based on the local ambient temperature, choose a coolant with different freezing points. The selection principle is to have the coolant freezing point be about 10 degrees lower than the local air temperature. Periodic maintenance for electrical system. Check whether the tightness of the generator belt meets the requirements. Belt deflection should be 10 to 15 millimeters. If the belt is too tight, the water pump bearing and generator bearing will be damaged prematurely. Belts that are too loose can cause slippage, reduce belt life, and overheat the engine. Check whether the wiring pile head of the engine starter motor and generator is loose. Check the fuse box of the electrical appliance, and check whether there is damage to the fuse one by one. The specifications of the fuses are 10 ampere, 15 ampere, 20 ampere, 30 ampere, and 40 ampere. The total fuse specification is 100 ampere. For maintenance-free batteries, check the color of the battery status observation port frequently. Green means sufficient power, black means insufficient power, and needs to be recharged. Periodic maintenance for air conditioning system. Check the tension of the air conditioning belt, press down the belt with a force of about 98 N, and the belt will drop by 8 to 10 mm. Visually inspect the flow of liquid in the sight glass of the liquid receiver. If there are bubbles, it means that the refrigerant is insufficient. If there are no bubbles, it means that it is normal. Periodic maintenance for working devices and structural parts. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the pin shaft of the front bulldozer cylinder, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the pin shaft of the front bulldozer bracket, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the center hinge pin of the front axle, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the top and bottom of the left and right steering knuckle pins of the front axle, 4 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add additional grease to the pin shafts at the left and right ends of the side swing rod, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the left and right ends of the front axle fork, 4 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to both ends of the front wheel roll cylinder, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the pin shaft of the steering cylinder of the front axle, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the hinged ball cover of the traction frame, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to both ends of the side swing cylinder of the traction frame, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the upper and lower hinges of the front frame, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the upper and lower hinged shafts, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the pin shafts at both ends of the left and right hinged cylinders, 4 in total. After every 50 hours of operation, apply grease to the blade slide rail. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the left and right blade lift cylinders, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the blade angle change cylinder pin, 2 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the pin shaft of the rear ripper cylinder, 3 in total. After every 50 hours of work, add grease to the connection between the rear axle and the balance box, 8 in total. After every 100 hours of work, add grease to the transmission shaft, 3 in total. Routine maintenance for drive system. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the bolts and nuts connecting the front and rear frame and the front and rear axles are loose or missing. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the connecting bolts of the drive shaft are loose. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the engine anchor bolts are loose. After every 50 hours of work, check whether the gearbox anchor bolts are loose. Periodic check for tire pressure. After every 50 hours of work, check the tire pressure. The air pressure of the front wheel is 3.2 megapascal, and the air pressure of the middle and rear wheels is 3.4 megapascal.